Hey guys, this is Hannah and this is Bookworms Talk, and today we're going to talk about The Coincidence of Callie and Kayden by Jessica Sorensen. This is one of my favorite books of 2013, and I have a lot of those, but this is seriously up there on my list. It was such a deep book, and by deep I can only describe that as I wasn't thrown and hit over the head with these characters' pasts, and that it was slowly unraveled to me, and it's like unfolding a little mystery. Even though I feel like I had a pretty good grasp of what their pasts exactly involved, I still loved every second and every little breadcrumb that I was given. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a summary what this is about. Oh yeah, and can I say how much I love this cover? I'm buying it in copy when it comes out. This is a story of these two characters, Callie and Kayden. I bet you couldn't guess that. And each of them has a past, and quite different, but still extremely difficult. And I don't want to tell you what exactly their pasts entail, other than a little bit of Kayden's, because I don't want to give the big climax of discovery away when you piece it together, and it's just the craziest feeling, and I don't want to steal that from you. And so I'm only going to give you a little taste of what Kayden's past is like, because it's pretty self-explanatory from the first couple chapters. Callie's quite a bit of an outcast, and she isolates herself from people. And she goes to this party to pick up her brother because he's not answering his phone, and while she's looking for him, she finds Kayden and his father in the backyard, and Kayden's father is beating him. I mean, he's not just hitting him, he is beating him. I think there's a difference between the two. And she intervenes, and Kayden just is like, no one else would have done that, but she did. Then fast forward to that fall, and they both coincidentally end up going to the same university, and they run into each other. And Kayden always has felt bad that he hadn't said thank you to her, and he uses this as his chance. Just saying thank you doesn't seem like enough, because she didn't just save him from his dad hitting him a couple times. Like, he's never seen his father so angry. She saved him from much more than just getting punched around a little. And so their friendship grows, and we get little hints of what happened with Callie's past that made her want to isolate herself. And we get more about what happened with Kayden and his father and his upbringing, and these two characters that are so damaged, but they're damaged together, and they just help one another. And it's a great story, and it has a freaking cliffhanger, and I'm gonna warn you now. The second one comes out in August. I want to say the 6th, I'm not quite sure, but I would quite honestly wait until that next book comes out, because I'm dying a little bit inside. So I'll see you guys later if you haven't read this, because I seriously want to get into those spoilers now. Bye! First off, I'd like to say how much I love the little blurbs at the beginning of the couple first chapters. Life is full of luck. Like getting dealt a good hand, or simply by being in the right place at the right time. Some people get luck handed to them, a second chance to save. It can happen heroically or by a simple coincidence. But there are those who don't get luck on a shiny platter, who end up in the wrong place at the wrong time, who don't get saved. And that is the setup for this whole book, and it's the most perfect setup, and oh my god. And then one last one. I often wonder what drives people to do things, whether it's put into their minds at birth or if it is learned as they grow. Maybe it's even forced upon them by circumstances that are out of their hands. Does anyone have control over their lives, or are we all just helpless? And it's just these great thoughts and these little blurbs that I can't stop thinking about throughout the entire chapter, throughout the whole book. I love the list of things that Seth and Callie have, things that they're afraid of and that they want to do each week and force themselves to do it. I think my favorite couple were do whatever the hell you want for once instead of what you think you should do. Live in the moments and dance in the rain. Oh my gosh, and then when Callie cut it off when they were about to have sex, when it just brought her back to that night and she couldn't take it, and she just ran. And she tried to avoid Kayden for so long, but he eventually found her. Kayden knows that with Daisy he wouldn't get questions, but with Callie he would. And the thing is that I don't think he realized at first was that people who don't question don't really care. People who do will question, and Callie does care. Kayden starts putting distance between him and Callie because he feels, and that scares him. After they went to the club and Callie danced with Kayden, which was a huge step to just let someone touch her like he did, and to dance with somebody. They went to the hill, and she wrote on the side, "In the existence of our lives there is a single coincidence that brings us together. And for a moment our hearts beat as one." That is like the quote of the book. I especially loved when we got the flashback from Kayden's point of view at the night of the pool house, and why his dad was so angry with him. And it was because Kayden was just punching the hell out of a wall, and he was trying to ruin his hand. Because it's not that he didn't want football as his future. I think it's because he didn't want his father telling him that that's what, he didn't have a choice in it. Like, yes, maybe that is what he wanted, but because his father was not encouraging it, forcing it at him, and he was just trying to ruin that future that was planned out. Okay, now on a lighter note, I'm gonna switch to the innuendos. The night of the carnival scene, that was great. Chock full of them. Oh, come on, Callie, it won't be fun if we don't rock it. In fact, the more we rock it, the better it'll feel. His voice drops to a deep whisper. We can rock it nice and slow or really, really fast. Do I have your permission to rock away and give you the ride of your life? Why do I feel like he's secretly talking dirty to me? Yeah, go ahead. Rock it nice and hard. I had to set my Kindle down and laugh hysterically multiple times, and then I felt like I didn't understand what went on, and I reread it, and then I laughed more, and it was just great. I loved the carnival scene. So there was this part of the carnival, it was kind of like a jungle gym, and it was off limits. And so they all go in there, and Kayden sets up this whole challenge thing that him and Luke used to do when they were younger, and it got to where they could go and kiss girls under the bleachers, and the same principle applied. And so that's when Kayden kissed Callie. And they kiss, and it's great, but then Kayden kind of mentally panics after it, and they're called out of there, and he leaves the next day because he doesn't know how he feels about feeling wanted and wanting her, because want equals dependency, and he doesn't know how to do that. He's not used to feeling, because when he does feel, he cuts so that he doesn't have to. It takes the hurt away. And then we get this flashback when Callie has this nightmare about that night that she was raped, and it explains why she forces herself to throw up and why she has this eating disorder, because that night is what she did, is she threw up because she felt like her insides were rotten and they were just soiled and disgusting, and that's the only way that she could think to get it out, and she just keeps doing that, and it's this repeating thing, and it's what makes her feel more in control, and we get that, we understand it now. And while Kayden's gone at home, he realizes that he does have feelings for Callie. I mean, real feelings. And then there's Daisy with the whole homecoming thing that didn't really happen and that I was really concerned would be a big deal, but Callie doesn't overreact to these kind of things, which I really like because I feel like most girls would, and it would be so obnoxious, and I'm glad that she didn't. And so he comes back and he tells Callie that his father hit him, and it wasn't just a one-time thing, that one time at the pool house. It happened all the time when he was younger. It happened to his brothers. But then Callie doesn't offer him any of her secrets. And so they're about to have sex, and Kayden says something to the effect of, "You're beautiful," and it makes her remember the night before, and then she starts to just try to run away from him, and he doesn't let her. And in an attempt to just get him to leave and to freak him out enough so that she can escape, she tells him that she was raped at 12 years old. And they run back in the rain, and they kiss in the rain, and I was waiting for that scene because I love the cover, and I love the idea of it, and it's so The Notebook of me, but you know what? I like the kissing in the rain thing. I don't care if people think it's cliche because I love that. And on a lighter note, I'm going to talk about the time that they played I've Never walked home wearing just a pink robe and a pair of slippers. I'm like, how did that happen? And we get a story, which is great. And so Kayden explains that Luke was over at a girl's house and they were having sex when her parents showed up. And they'd taken all their clothes off in the living room, so they had to borrow something that would fit him. And it was only a robe and the slippers. That's all he could fit in. And it was freaking cold, and he walked home like that. But there was like this festival thing going on, and he had to walk through the town. So it was funny, and I loved that story. It made me laugh. So when Kayden's father confronts him, he fights back this time. And then he goes to Callie's, and then they have sex. And he feels wanted and needed, and it's a positive emotion for once, and it's a really big step for both of them. So Callie's brother Jackson shows up really unannounced, and he has his friend Caleb with him. And we quickly figure out that it was Caleb that raped her when she was 12. And Kayden puts the pieces together just as we do, and he is furious, but he consoles her the best he can, and he waits till she's asleep, and then he goes to this party that Caleb's at, and he brings Luke with him, and he says, "You need to stop me before I kill him." And he beats the living shit out of him, and then the cops show up, and they take Kayden to jail, and Kayden doesn't call his father, but the cops do because his father's, Mr. Politician of the town or whatever, and he donates a lot of money, and so the cops felt like they had to do that, and so his father comes and picks him up. And then when Callie wakes up, she calls Luke, and Luke tells her what happened, and so they both go to his house, and Callie gets there first, and the doors open, and his father had beat him crazy, and then the knives fell, and his father stabbed him, and then his father walked off. And then, because Kayden's hurting, and then the only way that he ever gets rid of this hurt, or if his father would beat him, he would cut himself, and he just has knives sitting there, and that's what he does. And Callie finds him there in this huge pool of blood, and she's panicking, and she calls an ambulance, and then Luke shows up, and he's freaking out, and we don't know how it freaking ends. It's the worst cliffhanger of my life. I mean, seriously? That cliffhanger. That cliffhanger, man. I can't get over that freaking cliffhanger. It was like the worst cliffhanger in all cliffhanger history ever. The award goes to you, Jessica Sorensen. Seriously. Holy crap. And what a great story too. And I can't stop thinking about it, and it's driving me crazy, and I had to straight dive into another book hoping that it would soothe my freaking mind. It hasn't yet. I mean, I'll get there eventually, but I cannot wait till August. It's not fair. It's too long. It's too long. So let me know how you guys felt. Try not to give spoilers of the end because I didn't see that coming. I mean, I expected something, but not that. So don't give any spoilers down there in the comments. But you can PM me if you want. And I like talking to you guys about stuff like that, especially big spoilers. I will always private message you guys back and whatnot because that freaking ending, and I know your feels because those are my feels too. So yeah, private message me if you want to talk spoilers. Otherwise, comment down there in the comments all your thoughts throughout the book and your favorite quotes. I really liked the quotes throughout this and your favorite scenes and all that stuff. So I will see you guys later next time on Bookworms Talk, when I will probably be reviewing Poughkeepsie or quite possibly Epilogue by C.J. Roberts. I'm not really quite sure yet which one I'll get around to first, and well, you know, Epilogue isn't even out yet, so I think it's just because Poughkeepsie's quite long and it's short, it's tiny font, so I feel like that might take me a little bit longer, and I don't know if I'll read a book between that. But yeah, I will see you guys next time with whatever book I decide to bring before you guys. I'll see you later. Bye! Okay, and I don't know what I'm doing. Ignore me.